Badger fans, let's talk about a guy I love in this class. I know Justin loves him. One of the most underrated players in this class. Ryan, that dude, Cory, inside offensive lineman guard out of Gibsonia, Pennsylvania, 6'3", 290, consensus 3-star. What do we like about him? Again, the three things we like about him. The first one is he plays the sport with a physicality that is listen, he pummels people. Right. If you're an offensive, some film is pretty easy to you put it on, you watch it, and you're like, yeah, that guy's good. He is so physical at the point of attack. He's a great puller, great athleticism. That's probably the second thing is his movement skills are really, really good for kind of a 290, 300-pound guy. Again, not someone you need to project a ton. You already see what he's like with weight. You don't have to wonder if he can still move like he does with another 30, 40 pounds. That's one of the most impressive things with this entire offensive line class. You don't have to project really with any of them. And everybody who watches Locked On Badgers knows how much I love Garrett Sexton, but he was more of a projection play. These guys are all, they, they just have higher floors. So I love Cory's physicality. I love his athleticism. And the last thing with him that is probably the best thing for me with Ryan Cory. And let's put some film on here in a second. I love that he's a guard, right? I can't tell you how many times I've come on this show and said, I think we need to recruit some interior offensive lineman types. Everybody on this roster is like the same type of guy. And maybe they're all really talented. They all have a ton of pedigree. But I just want a 6'3" dude who's like a sawed-off tree stump, right? You need a guy like that who can just win in the trenches because he gets a little lower. He's a little meaner. He's a little nastier. I love Cory's film. I think he's a perfect fit for what they're trying to do. I also think he's a perfect fit given the composition of the rest of the offensive linemen on the roster. Let's put the film up. This film is fun to watch. I might just sit back and watch some of it with you and kind of stop talking. But Ryan Cory, again, 6'3", 290. Let's watch it. Where's this dude going? He's not going forward. Like, that dude's not going to play football anymore. Look at the physicality here at the point of attack. I mean, I got hit like that once when I was a freshman playing football. And there it is again, right? Just physical coming down the line of scrimmage. And then I stopped playing football after I got hit like that by an offensive lineman. I went and played basketball. Here he is playing defensive line, again, showing you athleticism, running down the line of scrimmage. He's just an athlete. He's a 290-pound athlete who probably could play kind of a strong side type of a defensive end. The film is really impressive. It's a lot of fun. We'll watch here. He almost gears up to hit him too, right? He lowers the shoulders. He just knows he's going to knock that dude on his butt. Again, coming down the line of scrimmage, he just blasts that guy. Like, that guy's dead. He's done playing football. Oh, here he is again. This is, finishing blocks 15, 20 yards down the field. And you love seeing that. That's another common trait with this offensive line group in this class. All of them finish their blocks. Here he is in the end zone finishing the plays over. But that's what you want. Here he's playing defensive line. Again, coming down the line of scrimmage. Look at the speed. That is an athlete. That is an athlete chasing down a dual threat quarterback on the edge. Again, playing defensive line here. Probably a guy who could also play that spot at a pretty high level. You love the nastiness. Like, he finishes every single play. Here he's playing kind of nose guard, quick swim move, tracks him down, finishes it. That quarterback's having a bad day. He's actually got a pretty good swim rip move there. Again, motor too. Look at this. That's unteachable. Like that. I had a coach tell me one time, when you come to practice, actually not a coach, this was at a coaching clinic. He said, when you come to practice, I can either coach your effort or I can coach your technique. I can't do both. I cannot do both. So players like this that have a motor, and you see the motor on film, like the motor's running down plays down the line of scrimmage, continuing to finish blocks. When you have that motor, then coaches can focus on your technique. It's an underrated part of players who just play hard. If you just play hard, you can spend more time focused on technique, and you don't have coaches busting your butt about, hey, we need more effort. This is such a good pickup. We'll let this run a little bit longer. Let's have some fun with it. Here's again playing defensive tackle. He's about to whoop somebody. Yeah, the guy's no chance. 7-yard loss. These defensive line clips are pretty impressive. Finish that. Yep. Really good athlete again, and somebody who I think is going to slot. Nobody plays right away on the offensive line, right? Unless you're Orlando Pace or you're Travis Frederick. You got to be the freakiest. But I could see this guy, Cory, in a year or two, really, really kind of being in that 2 deep and starting potentially. You look at the offer list: Oregon, Penn State, Miami. what have I always said about the academic offers? He's got a Stanford offer. He's got a Duke offer. He's got a Virginia offer. Those are the type of schools you want to see your offensive lineman get offered by, because offensive lineman is a mentally taxing spot. Outside of quarterback, it's one of the more mentally taxing spots. You love seeing those academic offers because it speaks to the kid's character. And then Miami, Penn State, Oregon, like those are the football. Like one of the things we always talk about are those other checklists that you use for recruits, right? Does the film check? Yes, the film checks for this guy. Big check. Are the athletic attributes, are they a check? Because you need certain athletic attributes to be a big upside player. For me, I think they are. For a guard, yes, they are. Offer list, yep, that's a check. The only check that you don't really get with Cory is the rankings. He's a consensus 3-star. I think he's hurt because he's a guard, right? Guards just get kind of downgraded to some degree because it's not a sexy spot. He's not a tackle. I think he's a 4-star guard, though, and that's fine. You need 2 guards just like you need 2 tackles. So, to me, one of the more underrated prospects in this class. Here he is again, just mauling somebody. Like, that dude's not watching film tomorrow. He's going to call in sick. That's the same guy. He's calling in sick 2 days. He's not going to get any film study. We're going to cut this here. We're going to come back and after the break, let Brian Smith talk a little bit about Ryan Cory. That's coming up next on the Ryan Cory Breakdown. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Ryan Cory. I wanted to bunch Cory and Haywood together because they committed basically in the same time frame, both from Pennsylvania. Cory, a little smaller, 6'4", 290, definitely projects to the interior. What did you see breaking down Ryan Cory's film? What did you see on film there?
He really runs his feet well, meaning after contact, he doesn't just run into the guy and just barrel him over. Obviously, just like every other kid, Haywood included, he needs more technique, sure. But he gets into the guy and he wants to bury him. He fits the mentality of an interior offensive lineman. And he reminds me of a kid that's either been a wrestler, a hockey player, or something, because he moves well laterally. He's not just a plotter, not just a power guy. He can pin and pull. Mm-hmm. Think of Michigan State 10, 12 years ago when they were really, really good and they were going through their search. They were putting some O-linemen in the NFL and they could really pin and pull. He's one of those guys. He's going to get drafted quite possibly if he can continue on this path. He can hold weight. Good athlete, man. I really liked him. I was surprised he wasn't ranked a little higher. Not that, again, interior O-line it's horrific to evaluate them. I get it. They're running over guys smaller than themselves, but I think he can be a 2-year starter at Wisconsin. And if you can do that, you've got a chance to get drafted.
One of the things I wanted to ask you about, because you brought it up in your answer there, the ranking. And I always feel like interior offensive linemen to some degree get a lesser grade because people don't see the 6'7" frame. And Cory, he's never going to be a tackle. He's going to be a guard. But that's okay. You need 2 of those.
It's not a glamour position. And when people look at it, I'll just be blunt. I'm not an O-line trainer. I didn't play O-line in the NFL like one of my buddies did. But it's a technical thing. Most people don't know what they're looking at. A lot of people claim to understand football, and probably not 20% of them have a clue because it's technique. And O-line, especially interior, you're going up against guys that are very unfriendly at 300-plus pounds. You better have technique or you're going to get smoked. So projecting an offensive lineman isn't about the frame. It's the stuff above the shoulder. And a lot of that really doesn't start until they get to college. I'm guessing at best. And so are most of the guys in my profession at figuring out which kid should go on and be a big-time player at the college level. There's a few, like Orlando Pace, my dead grandmother can evaluate him. That wasn't real hard, but there's just only a few of those guys ever. So you've got to look at it differently with them. You got to project how good an athlete are they? Are they going to work hard? I don't know, because it's technique.
But the physical tools, you're pretty on board with both Haywood and Cory for the roles, from the physical tool standpoint.
100%.